Your child just showed you a drawing. Without thinking, you say, "Good job." It feels natural. It feels positive. But here's what you don't realize. Those two words might be quietly undermining your child's confidence, not building it, destroying it. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why, and more importantly, what to say instead. Because there's a better way to praise your child that actually builds real confidence, resilience, and intrinsic motivation. And it starts with stopping one phrase that almost every parent uses multiple times a day. Let's talk about why "good job" backfires. On the surface, it seems harmless, even encouraging. You're acknowledging your child's effort, right? But here's the problem. "Good job" is vague, generic, and ultimately empty. It doesn't tell your child what they did well. It doesn't help them understand their own strengths. And worst of all, it trains them to look outside themselves for validation. Every time you say "good job," you're teaching your child that their worth is determined by your approval. They start performing for praise instead of for their own satisfaction. And over time, this creates a child who constantly asks, "Do you like it? Is it good? Did I do well?" They stop trusting their own judgment because they've learned that what matters is whether someone else thinks it's good. This is called approval-based praise, and it creates validation-seeking behavior. Children who grow up dependent on external approval become adults who need constant reassurance. They struggle with decision-making because they're always second-guessing themselves. They avoid challenges because failure means losing approval. And they tie their self-worth to other people's opinions, which is a recipe for anxiety, low confidence, and people-pleasing. That's not what you want for your child. You want them to be confident, independent, self-motivated, and resilient. And that requires a completely different approach to praise. Now let's look at the brain science, because understanding this will change how you communicate with your child forever. When you praise your child, their brain releases dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter. Dopamine is part of the brain's reward system, and it reinforces behavior. So far, so good. But here's the catch. If the dopamine is triggered by external approval, your child's brain learns to seek that approval to feel good. They become dependent on it. This is extrinsic motivation. They're doing things to get praise, not because they genuinely care about the activity itself. But when praise focuses on effort, process, and their own internal experience, something different happens. The brain still releases dopamine, but it's tied to their own sense of accomplishment, not your reaction. This builds intrinsic motivation. They do things because they enjoy them, because they want to improve, because they're curious. And intrinsic motivation is what drives long-term success, resilience, and confidence. Children with intrinsic motivation don't give up when things get hard. They don't need constant praise to keep going. They're self-driven. So what do you say instead of "good job"? I'm going to give you 3 praise switches that will completely transform how your child sees themselves. These aren't just theory. These are real phrases you can use starting today. Switch 1. Replace judgment with observation. Instead of saying "good job" on your drawing, say, "I notice you use a lot of bright colors, and you spent a long time on the details in the corner." You're not judging the drawing as good or bad. You're simply observing what you see. This does 2 powerful things. First, it shows your child that you're paying attention, real attention, not just generic approval. Second, it helps them see their own work more clearly. They start to notice, "Oh yeah, I did use a lot of colors. I did focus on those details." They're learning to evaluate their own work, which is the foundation of self-confidence. Switch 2. Focus on effort and process, not outcome. Instead of saying, "Good job, you got an A," say, "I can see you studied really hard for that test. You practiced those problems over and over." You're praising the effort, not the grade. This teaches your child that what matters is the work they put in, not the external result. And this is critical for building what psychologists call a growth mindset, the belief that abilities can be developed through effort. Children with a growth mindset embrace challenges. They see failure as learning, not as proof that they're not good enough. Before we continue, if this is already shifting how you think about praise, do me a favor. Hit that like button right now. Drop a comment and tell me, do you find yourself saying good job multiple times a day? Let's hear it. And subscribe to the Parenting Blueprint because we're here to give you strategies that actually work, backed by science and real-world experience. We also have a membership with 2 exclusive levels that offer early access to videos, bonus content, and a community of parents learning these exact skills together. If you're serious about raising confident, self-motivated kids, check it out below. Now let's keep going. Switch 3. Ask questions instead of giving praise. Instead of saying, good job on that tower you built, try asking, how did you figure out how to make it so tall without it falling? Or what was the hardest part? Or how do you feel about it? These questions do something incredible. They shift the focus from your evaluation to their internal experience. Your child has to reflect on what they did, what they learned, what they felt. This builds self-awareness and critical thinking, and it sends the message that their opinion matters more than yours. Let me give you real examples because this is where it becomes practical. Your child finishes their homework. Instead of good job, you say, I noticed you worked through that math problem even when you got stuck. You tried a different strategy and figured it out. Your child cleans their room. Instead of good job, you say, wow, you organized all your toys by category. That must have taken a lot of planning. Your child loses a soccer game but played hard. Instead of good job, you say, I saw you keep trying even when the other team scored. You didn't give up. See the difference? You're highlighting specific actions, effort, persistence, problem solving. You're teaching your child to value the process, not just the outcome, and you're helping them build an accurate understanding of their own strengths. Now let's talk about the research because this isn't just feel-good parenting advice. This is backed by decades of psychological research. Carol Dweck, a Stanford psychologist, has spent her career studying how praise affects children's motivation and resilience. In her studies, she found that children praised for intelligence, you're so smart, became more likely to avoid challenges, give up easily when things got hard, and lie about their performance to maintain the image of being smart. But children praised for effort. You worked really hard on that. Were more likely to embrace challenges, persist through difficulty, and improve over time. The difference wasn't in the children. It was in the language their parents and teachers used. This is the growth mindset versus fixed mindset distinction. A fixed mindset says, I'm either good at this or I'm not. A growth mindset says, I can get better at this with effort and practice. And the type of praise you use directly shapes which mindset your child develops. Generic praise like good job or you're so smart reinforces a fixed mindset. Specific effort-based praise reinforces a growth mindset. And growth mindset predicts success in school, relationships, careers, and life. So what do you do when your child holds up a drawing and asks, do you like it? Is it good? This is the moment that matters most. Instead of answering with judgment, redirect the question back to them. Say, what do you think? What's your favorite part? Or tell me about what you made. You're teaching them that their opinion is what counts. You're building internal validation instead of dependence on external approval. At first, they might push back. They might say, "But do you like it?" And you can say warmly, "I can see you put a lot of effort into this, and I'm curious what you think about it." Over time, your child will stop asking for your approval because they'll learn to trust their own. That's confidence, real confidence. Not the kind that crumbles the moment someone criticizes them, but the kind that's rooted in self-awareness, effort, and resilience. And it all starts with changing how you praise. Let's talk about the long-term benefits because this isn't just about childhood. This is about who your child becomes as an adult. Children who grow up with effort-based, process-focused praise become adults who aren't afraid to fail. They try new things. They take risks. They handle criticism without falling apart. They don't need constant validation from bosses, partners, or friends to feel good about themselves. They have an internal compass. They know their worth isn't tied to perfection or other people's opinions. On the other hand, Children who grow up on generic, approval-based praise often become adults who are paralyzed by fear of failure. They avoid challenges because failure feels like proof they're not good enough. They need constant reassurance. They struggle with imposter syndrome. They base their self-worth on external achievements, and when those achievements don't come, they crumble. This is why so many high-achieving adults struggle with anxiety and low self-esteem despite outward success. They were praised for outcomes, not effort, and outcomes are never guaranteed. So here's your action plan. Starting today, catch yourself every time you're about to say good job. Pause and ask yourself, what specifically can I notice about what my child just did? Describe it. Ask a question about it. Highlight the effort or process. It will feel awkward at first. You'll slip up. That's okay. But every time you make the switch, you're rewiring your child's brain to value their own judgment, effort, and growth over external approval. And one more thing, model this for yourself too. When you accomplish something, don't brush it off or wait for someone else to validate it. Say out loud, I worked really hard on that, and I'm proud of how it turned out. Your child is watching how you talk about yourself. If you're constantly seeking approval or downplaying your efforts, they'll learn to do the same. But if you model self-acknowledgement and effort-based confidence, they'll absorb that too. Before we close, I need to hear from you. Hit that like button if this changed how you think about praise. Drop a comment and tell me, what's one phrase you're going to start using instead of good job? Let's learn from each other. And subscribe to the Parenting Blueprint for more strategies that build confident, resilient, independent kids. Share this video with another parent because this simple shift can change everything. Remember, you're not removing encouragement, you're upgrading it. You're giving your child the tools to believe in themselves, not just when you're watching, but for the rest of their lives. That's real confidence. And it starts with the words you choose today.